Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. Today we're going to be checking in with our daily cryptocurrency market update, where we discuss everything that's going on within the cryptocurrency space right now, and also look at the external financial world around us, as we know that a lot of the price action we've seen from the cryptocurrency market recently has been very tethered to things outside in traditional markets, and also geopolitical events, macroeconomics, and monetary policy. It's something we've been talking about now for over 5 months, as it is extremely relevant. And not all the answers to what's happening within the crypto space actually lie within the crypto realm. They often lie elsewhere. And that's certainly what we've seen given all the geopolitical events taking place and how they've shaped our market. So what we're going to do in this video, guys, is we're going to be looking at our cryptos, looking at them on a number of indicators, because many of them are primed for a move to the upside. Now, what you've got to bear in mind is there's still lots of uncertainty with markets, and they are absolutely affected by everything happening externally. We know we had the 25 basis point Fed fund rate or interest rate hike from the Federal Reserve. This is kind of a bit of a green light to markets to kind of say, okay, well, the Fed aren't going to clamp down as harshly as many were expecting. And markets actually, in my opinion, have already priced in quite a few of these rate hikes. So it kind of gave markets across the board a bit of a green light to continue in an upwards direction. We also have all the geopolitical tensions. You know, we know what's happening there. There's a lot less uncertainty, although it is still very uncertain what the outcome of it all will be. And it's kind of allowed markets to catch a bit of wind to the upside. So we're going to be looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano, because they all have interesting structures that they're breaking out of. Ethereum, for example, is sort of breaking out of a broadening pattern to the downside, and it's broken to the upside. We'll also be looking at the RSIs for them, also going over Cardano, which has really broken out of almost a 7-month resistance. Then diving into a little bit of news. And what I really want to do to start is, if you didn't catch my video yesterday, please go and give it a watch. Now, one reason I can stay really bullish on the crypto space is because I believe, and you guys are the ultimate judge of this, that I understand where this space is going. You know, I have a conviction that I've had for nearly 5 years now that blockchain technology is going to change the world. It is akin to any other technological revolution before it, whether that be the internet, and some of the stocks that came out of it, whether that be the PCs and some of the companies that came out of that revolution, whether it be the telecom revolution, whether it be the motoring industry, the railroad industry. You know, this is a similar thing to what Jerome Powell said, and we actually played the clip of that in yesterday's video. And at the top here, we've got Apple, and here we have Bitcoin. And what I'll do very quickly is I'll move my face out of the way to really highlight some of the similarities that we were pointing out. And you can see this, of course, is the dot-com boom. Okay, we've drawn all over it, so we won't do that. So this is the dot-com boom, if you just follow my cursor down here. And then you have this long period of accumulation before we break out. And of course, where Apple was here is in a similar situation to where Bitcoin currently is. We've also shown you there's a spot in 2010 where Amazon looks very similar to the structure that Bitcoin's currently in. And ultimately, they both go on to continue. And the reason we use Apple is because it was a part of the internet revolution and benefited greatly as a result of it. It was a part of the PC revolution before that. But it benefited greatly. And we all know the story, what came next for Apple. And that's what I think Bitcoin's future is going to look like. So that's an overarching macro view on the crypto space that I have. And I understand within that there's going to be ups and downs. And we really emphasized that in yesterday's video and also showed you some data supporting it. So it's important for me to remind people of that. It's why we maintain a bullish outlook despite all the pessimism and negativity. You know, it's due to my overarching beliefs in the cryptocurrency space and what it's doing. So not just Bitcoin, but markets generally saw a real uptick. This was from Lynn Alden. Lynn Alden is somebody who I have a lot of respect for in the economic, as an economic sort of commentator. She's far more than that, but I certainly listen to what she has to say on the economy, as I think it's very scholarly put together. This could change anytime, but frankly, the Bitcoin price chart currently looks better than it has for quite some time. And she's got the MACD down here, which we will jump into. Now, the MACD is potentially setting up for a bullish cross. And if you look at what's happened, we've got our sort of, we know where we are with Bitcoin. We're range bound at the moment between your sort of 28K all the way up to sort of 65. And ultimately, we're on the wrong side of that range. You know, we need to get above this sort of midway point and stay above it. And we are in what I would call, lots of people calling for it as a symmetrical triangle. I actually don't think it's a symmetrical triangle. I actually think it's a rising triangle. So I think it's not a rising wedge, but a structure similar to this where you're coiling up and you have a constricting or a restricting. Constricting is a better word. Sort of support with a flat resistance that you usually break to the upside in opposition with this kind of structure where you typically break to the downside. So that's what I think Bitcoin is setting up. Potentially, I mean, there's no guarantee for that. And just like Lynn said, you know, could change any minute given all the uncertainty with markets generally. But broadly, I'm more bullish and I'm macro bull for the reasons that we just mentioned typically. But if you look at this MACD and where we are, you can see we're potentially setting up for a bullish cross, which the last time we had one of those, and we'll put these on the chart very quickly for you, was the 9th of August. So round about there. Tell you what, we can actually just do it mirroring that. We'll put a few of these on just to show you what this typically means. So you had your bullish cross there. You also had one here. You had one here. Just to put these on very quickly for you. And then, of course, we had one over here. And if we look at that retrospectively, you can see that typically, whenever you've had one of these, you have more times than not seen movements to the upside. Here, of course, was March 2020. We all know the story there. But historically, this cross taking place has resulted in a move to the upside. And that's what we're certainly looking for here in regard to the MACD. Now, I do have a bit of a beef with these traditional market indicators because crypto is not a traditional market. It's a far, far higher beta market. And of course, you've got to think about, you know, that's it acts in a different kind of manner to what I think a lot of these traditional markets are actually set to sort of measure. However, I do think there is a degree of accuracy with them, but not as much as if you were looking at your traditional markets, if that makes sense. You've also got a very low RSI and a low stock RSI, so there's plenty of room to go up on both of these. And you can see you've actually got a downtrending RSI when you've got an uptrending chart where you've got this kind of higher high here, one high, two high, but you've got a lower high on your RSI, which is quite telling, and you've just flipped this sort of EMA on it. So it is certainly primed based on your indicators. There is also a lot of on-chain data that we've been covering for literally months now, which is why we don't think we're entering a prolonged bear market like we've previously seen for the crypto space. That does indeed suggest that you are going to make moves to the upside. We're at typically bottoming points on a lot of your kind of indicators. Let's jump very quickly into Ethereum. You can see Ethereum again, your RSI is at a typical low point. You know, it's at a similar point, in fact, lower than it was in March 2020 in parts of the bear market. And, you know, typically that's led to a move to the upside, if nothing else, a relief rally. And you have actually broken out of what I would say is a broadening structure. We'll take it off log. Can you see this? This is a broadening structure. Can you see? And you've actually broken out of it to the upside, which leads, in my opinion, to more continuation. A typical continuation play would be a move up, come back to retest it, and then get that continuation. But this is a broadening structure that you've got here. You can see these very textbook throughout markets that typically lead to a move to the upside. In regards to Cardano, you guys know that I cover Cardano daily, as I think it has a lot to give and is very early in its development. And I think many of the cryptocurrencies out there, I know quite a lot of you aren't Cardano fans, have already really greatly appreciated from sort of rushing to market things like DeFi, stablecoins, and a number of other things. Cardano still has all this to come. And I think there's going to be a lot of value swept up with that, backed by an amazing community that is very zealous. I think it's really setting up in the right direction. The problem you've got with weekends, which is why I don't tend to rush into anything on a weekend, is very low volume typically. So markets can move like this over the weekend only to get smashed within the week or on a Sunday typically. So I'll be watching tomorrow and seeing what it brings, but I'm expecting more continuation now. Things have sort of started in the right direction. You can see here for Cardano, for the first time, really, you're actually sort of popping your head above it. Now, you need to see a weekly close above it. It's not the first time we've broken above it, But if we can get above it and stay above it, it will be the first time that we've actually closed above it. And one thing with your EMA is you can see just how overextended you are to the downside. You always come back to your EMA in some form, shape, or other. Can you see this? So I'm expecting this return move to the EMA. If nothing else, for a relief rally. Remember, there's still so much going on with macro markets. You need to pay attention to it, or we'll drop it down to a smaller, we won't use a 3-day. We'll drop it down to a smaller time frame to highlight that again. Can you see how you're actually rounding out here? But that doesn't mean that, you know, there isn't a change on markets generally that causes everything to sort of sell off further. So that's sort of what we've got going on for crypto. This is super important chart, your Apple and Bitcoin. Let's dive into a little bit of the news now, guys. Who's in charge of what? Breaking down the crypto executive order. It's important for me to keep reminding people of this because once this order was signed, there is 180 days for it to be fulfilled. Now that is going to see a broad framework or guidelines potentially, or regulations be issued upon the cryptocurrency space, or certainly a framework for that. This is huge, and I actually think that this is likely to go in the cryptocurrency market's favor. And that would give crypto, which is what I'm anticipating, which is how we could end up in a scenario where we see the likes of Apple absolutely take off from this sell off. Remember, here you've got the 2008 financial crisis, you've also got raising rates and stuff like that. See it kind of go on to the next leg. And this is what I think. I think crypto's growth now moves away from a 4-year cycle theory and more into a kind of linear growth, if that makes sense. And this could be one of the driving factors. You know, we know that the United States is very, very zealous, or very, very focused on maintaining its sort of leadership role. And in actual fact, I think crypto may assist them with that, providing they utilize it themselves, if that makes sense, and actually don't regulate it to the downside. And I also think, in terms of popularity, Biden is, and this isn't my take on it, if you look at the stats in regards to Biden and his popularity, he's very low down at the moment in terms of popularity. So I don't think he's likely to do anything that's going to rock the boat too much, certainly with the likes of the midterms and a number of other things coming up. And banning crypto when you've got quite a lot of people within the US holding it probably wouldn't be the smartest move. Argentine Congress approves IMF debt deal that would discourage crypto usage. The IMF really do not like crypto. They were heavily, the World Bank were heavily against El Salvador actually adopting crypto or Bitcoin. And it's no surprise because they have an alternative system to Bitcoin that they have a vested interest in making sure stays where it is, because they get a lot of power from it. So of course they're not going to be too friendly on the likes of Bitcoin, which is something they have no control over or say over. We'll see. The IMF really do seem to not like Bitcoin and crypto, and are using the kind of, oh well, it's better for your economy if you just don't do it because of the volatility attached, even though over the long term it may actually serve to be a way better hedge and has than the likes of the dollar, and that would ultimately bolster their economy in many ways rather than a deflating dollar that they have no control over. Europe, MICA, regulations on digital assets. Where do we stand? So the world is moving to regulate crypto, and I think, you know, we're starting to see those steps in the right direction. What with the MICA regulations, the European Union is specifically legislating for crypto assets that is harmonized across EU member states. So this is all coming, guys, and it could be a huge catalyst for crypto. We've got Senator Warren rolls out bill design to close crypto loopholes for sanctions. We'll see what progresses with this, but this is some of the main news. We know where markets are at currently. Still very uncertain, but a little bit less uncertain than they previously have been. And we also have almost a bit of a guideline, providing that things don't change. And Jerome has said that, you know, things are likely to change and will move accordingly as we go forward. We have seen that first interest rate hike, and people have almost had that sigh of relief, and markets have seen that. So that's really all I have for you in this video, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. We'll see how the week transpires, or the weekend, and then we'll take next week as it comes. If you've enjoyed this content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I look forward to seeing you all in the next YouTube video. Enjoy your Saturdays. I'm off for a bike ride to go and get some sunshine and get the hell out of the dark, dingy room that I'm in, staring at multiple monitors. See you in the next video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching.